Welcome to the Sportsline Podcast. I'm Andrew Damelin, sitting in for Bubba O'Neill. So excited to speak with today's guest. He's on McMaster's soccer team, and Forge FC just took him 7th in this year's U Sports draft. It's Paul Ekwueme. Paul, how's it going?
I'm fine, thank you. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having
You have an
me.
amazing backstory, and I want to go through it today, find out where you were as a kid and how we got here, playing professional soccer, hopefully, in the next year. You were born in Atlanta, but you grew up in Ajax, Ontario,
Yes, sir.
with some older siblings. Growing up in Ajax, what was your first vivid soccer memory as a kid?
So it probably goes back to the Timbits. I remember vividly having like a nice green jersey. We used to have, pretty sure it was the year of a World Cup. Not sure what year specifically, but we had the different teams and I had a nice green jersey. Going out at halftime, having orange slices, having chocolate milk. Yeah. So just playing Timbits with my brothers and friends as well. So
There's this family heritage that you come from. Your parents are Nigerian, and you've mentioned the physicality and tenacity that you play with lends itself to the Nigerian heritage. How did that become ingrained in you growing up in Ajax?
I think just being younger than my older brothers, I think it's very grateful to have older brothers who played. So looking up onto them, they're a lot bigger, a lot taller, a lot stronger, especially it's an age gap, 2 years in between both of us. So just having to play with older people, I think I had to be stronger, had to be quicker than my other age group mates.
So it was more your siblings, you think, than the parents teaching you that sort of perseverance as a young kid. And I'm wondering also, your parents, I imagine they're big football fans as well growing up?
Actually.
Not really?
Yeah.
Okay.
We kind of brought them into it and made them fans as brothers. Yeah.
Have you watched any Nigerian football players growing up? Okay.
Yeah, 100%.
So you know of some of the greats. And I was just doing some research. There was one goal I saw by one Nigerian player, and it was labeled the greatest goal of all time. I'm like, I got to see this.
Okay.
I mean, before we even show it to you, do you know which player I'm talking about?
I'm guessing it's JJ Okocha.
It is JJ Okocha. Exactly right. One of the best goals I've ever seen because he was toying with the opponent. And here it is right here. Just doing a dance with the keeper, Oliver Kahn, and every other defender. I'm not sure. Like, this is professional football we're looking at, not Timbits, like you said. What are your thoughts when you look at this? Have you seen this goal?
Yeah, I have. I've seen it a lot.
So what feelings does it evoke when you see a goal such as that?
I think that's just talent. Some people are born to, like as you said, doing this against pros is not easy at all. So that's God-given talent. Most people can't really do that. So.
And what do you find if there's a common thread perhaps between some of the greatest Nigerian players, just looking up others, Nwankwo Kanu, who had an amazing career in the British Premier League, and Rashidi Yekini, another incredible Nigerian player that's revered. Yeah. Is there a common thread you see with some of the greats from your parents' native country?
I think the biggest similarity I'll say is the perseverance. A lot of them have the same mentality, having to work very hard, come from nothing, having to grind their way all through a lot of struggles and stuff. So that mentality translates a lot to football. You're going to get no's, you're going to get benched, you're going to go through bad patches of form and whatnot. So having to persevere through that, continue to improve, really helps you on the field.
So there's the perseverance aspect. And what I see in at least some of the celebrations is an amount of joy that you don't see from necessarily Canadian players, for example. It's a very serious fist pump, but there's the dancing, there's the jubilation. Does that sort of feed a successful Nigerian footballer, that aspect of it?
I think most are just very happy. I think that's part of the culture, having to dance, a lot of music, a lot of popular Nigerian artists. They're becoming very global now, so I think that's just a big part of our culture.
So that's the background that sort of fed where you've gotten to, and it hasn't been a linear path up. A lot of guys that get drafted by Forge were probably stars for their teams throughout. You didn't make the McMaster team as a freshman, and you had your grade 11 and 12 years wiped out mostly due to COVID. And I imagine, when I was 16 years old, it wasn't as if I was going to I was a basketball player, as you might imagine. I wasn't going to go to the gym by myself and just work on myself and my physicality and my tenacity like you did. Do you remember the grind that it was when your competitive football seasons were canceled, getting up in the morning, for example. How did you manage to find that motivation to improve yourself when competitive football wasn't being played?
Actually, surprisingly, I was a bit happy because I know this was like an opportunity to catch up to other people. I know other people were playing on better teams, TFC, OPDL, these like great academies, which I wasn't. So obviously they're getting better development, which I wasn't. So COVID helped a lot. That kind of stalled their progress, kind of increased mine. So I had to outwork people a bit more. So just me training every day, very consistent. Didn't have much to do, just playing video games, school, training.
So who helped shape that training regimen? It wasn't just you on your own, I imagine.
Yeah. I think it's a family model. We're just very hardworking, kind of something that my parents instilled in me, kind of forced. They don't like see me on my phone or see me on my bed being lazy or playing video games all day. So kind of told me, go be productive, go read your Bible, go train and stuff. And my brothers helped a lot. They trained as well with me in COVID, since you can't see anyone else but family. So just all of us training together.
Now, just getting into the nitty gritty of that training, what did you work on, in terms of becoming stronger on the ball? As we take a look at your clips as a McMaster player, no goals in those clips. You are a midfielder. You control the play. You're a pivot player, they say. So during this time when you're trying to improve yourself, that tenacity aspect, let's get into like what exactly you were actually doing with your brothers on the pitch day to day.
Say mostly passing, 2-touch, 1-touch. That's a lot of things you do as a midfielder. You just have to play very quickly. So working on these fundamentals, I know a lot of kids say, oh, it's boring, just doing the same thing over and over again. But even when I wasn't playing with my brothers, they might be tired or they might be busy with school or work. I'm just at the wall making noise downstairs or in the garage, playing 1 or 2-touch with the wall, in the air, on the ground, left foot, right foot, doing the exact same thing over and over again for like the past 5 years, pretty much.
And I think a lot of people would find that to be monotonous, difficult, and maybe there was aspects of that too. But did you ever find joy in that grind and that repetition?
Honestly, I did. I think that's why I love soccer so much, because it's both my favorite hobby and my favorite work. Thankfully, I'm a pro now, so I can say it's my job now. So yeah, if you're bored and you want something to do, you go play soccer. Or if you're working, you go play soccer. So all the time I was doing soccer, so it wasn't an issue at all.
And so you get to McMaster, you don't make the team in your first year. There's a message on your limited Instagram profile. You cite some Bible verses, and one is finding when you face adversity, consider it joyful.
Yeah.
You're 20 years old. This is a philosophy, whether it's faith-based or not. It's a beautiful philosophy to have. Such a young person, I imagine, wouldn't necessarily feel that way. Did it take time for you to really have that philosophy ingrained in you? At what point did you find the joy in the adversity?
I think it just improved over the years, honestly. I got multiple rejections pretty much every year, whether that was not making League One teams or making national teams. I had rejections over the years, but I used to get very down, truthfully, when I was younger. Used to let it upset me for days and weeks, but it's part of life, it's part of the sport. You're going to get rejections, so only the people that work through those that are going to be successful. So kind of try to keep that mentality wherever I go.
So you got cut in 2022 or 21 by McMaster?
2021 fall.
Okay. And then
2022 fall, 2021 I didn't make the team.
Okay. Yeah. So Tristan Joyce joins the team in 2023.
Yeah.
He was a keeper for McMaster 3 years ago. What's he meant to your growth? Because he's the first coach to put you on that varsity squad. What have those interactions been like? Another young guy, he's finding his footing as a coach now.
Yes, good coach.
How much has he contributed to your growth?
Honestly, Tristan is elite. A lot better than a lot of other coaches. Thankfully, I had two coaches, Coach Tristan and Coach Ilya, this year. That helped a lot. They're both coaches of the year for the West and East Division. So that just shows how much they've helped in my improvement and growth. So growing up, I didn't really have that much coaching because of COVID, because of where I was. Didn't have that access to a lot of coaching. So Tristan just helped me a lot. Tactical understanding of the game. I know that it's very important for a forward midfielder. So I've improved this year a lot in that aspect for sure.
Okay, I've commentated some TFC. Yeah. I've really gotten into the sport the last few years, but the very technical aspects of the game, I would never profess to know very well. You're a midfielder. You haven't scored a goal in your 2 seasons with McMaster. You control the game from this perch. Can you sort of explain what you're seeing, how you've developed in getting noticed from a point on the pitch where the casual like me, let's not denigrate myself too much. Not quite a casual, but not a technical understanding of the game. What are you seeing? How have you improved in that pivot point aspect of the pitch?
It's not a position that get praised a lot, on the box score, as you said, goals and assists, unless you're going up for a corner or whatnot. But yeah, I think the most important thing is control. If you have the most possession, you're likely to win. Just having control of the game. Defensively, I think that's important. If you can control the counter-attacks, stop them before they even happen, I think that's a big part of my game. A lot of major attacks that could have led to a goal, you stop them before they become even dangerous and keep the ball. Changing the point of attack from left to right, even though it's a simple pass, it might not look very flashy to a casual person, but a football person or football coach can really understand how that's important to keeping the possession and keeping the ball for sure.
And when did you start to find joy in really the nuances of this game, not the final strike that everyone's watching on the highlight reels, but on that beautiful turn you might have made off a difficult pass and just a pass sending your team. I love a good through ball. And I love saying the word through ball. I love the jargon of football. But at what point did you find the joy? I imagine as a kid, every kid's like, I'm going to score the goal. I'm going to rejoice with the crowd. You're the person setting it up beforehand. When did you find joy in that role?
I was a winger and a striker as a kid, actually. So I used to score a lot, dribble a lot. That's what I used to find joy in. I was used to like kid who bit of a ball hog, as they like to say, dribble a lot, never pass. So it's kind of recently, past 5-6 years, that I moved more into a midfield role, more defensive. So saying just trying to make teams, trying to improve, watching other players who are in my position who are starting ahead of me. Just being a competitive person, I wanted to be like them and be better.
Is there a chip on your shoulder?
Yeah, for sure.
Generally a chip on your shoulder?
Yeah, for sure. I'll say so.
And, so, for me, as a non-high-level athlete, I hear the stories of chips on shoulders, and if it were me playing with this extra level of, anger or resentment, it may not translate well onto the pitch. I may try to overdo it. Is there any control, emotional control you've had to sort of harness with that chip on your shoulder while trying to play like the correct team football?
I think during practices, not really. You're a bit too tired for that. You're just thinking about the next play, the next game. I think the emotion is really in the off season. I think that's what gets me going. I say that's the part where I separate myself a lot. A lot of people, it's winter, it's cold, it gets dark at 4 or 5 p.m. A lot of people just stay home, but I'm out there training, going home, going to the gym. So I think that's where I'm a bit more emotional. I actually like to say anger, inflict that on my game.
Okay, so you got 2 successful seasons with McMaster, made the playoffs both year, records well above 500, but you did not see getting drafted by Forge coming. You didn't have them visit you. You didn't have any communications necessarily with them unless before a few days before you were picked up. I'm not sure if you envisioned playing professional football in the CPL, but can you tell me that first interaction you had with Forge when they indicated to you that you were going to get a chance to compete for a supplemental contract next year?
Well, it's a dream of mine. I've always wanted to go pro for 20 years of life now. So I was in contact with other CPL teams, but not Forge specifically. So I think that was the bit of surprise. And also McMaster, we unfortunately lost in penalties in the semifinals. So unfortunately, we didn't get to go to the national championship, which I was excited for. It's back home in Durham, so excited for that game. Yeah, but Forge I didn't have any previous contact with them. I didn't have any direct connections, so I think that's where the bit of surprise came from.
And Coach Smirniotis, he's the most successful coach in CPL history. He has an aura about him.
Yeah, for sure.
Every time I speak with him, what have you heard about him from perhaps people more, inside the game? What do you know about him? What do you expect from him?
I played against Sigma a lot, which is kind of like he founded the team. So a lot of good things. I know Sigma take a lot of players to the pros, to the D1 to U Sports. So they're a very high level team, and Forge as well, being in Hamilton, go for a game sometimes, and I get to watch, see the eye test, see how good the players are, and also dream hopefully one day to improve, play the highest level I can. I think Forge really helps in the CPL a lot. They're kind of like the cornerstone of CPL, what CPL is about. A lot of good players from CPL have gone to MLS next. They've gone to Europe, so hopefully can follow in their footsteps as well.
And look, you got drafted. You get a chance at a tryout to make the team in 2025. Can you think of one of your first tryouts, how you approached it and the nerves, and how that might compare to going up against, I'm not sure if you'll be training with guys like Kyle Becker and Tristan Borges and David Chouanier, icons of this team. Can you picture the nerves sort of stepping out onto that pitch when you get that first ball in the middle and you're trying to move it the right direction? Can you picture what the nerves might be like in that moment?
The trial that comes out to mind is the one right after COVID. I think it was my grade 11 year. I was training for the Hamilton reserves team. Didn't quite make it. I was very nervous for that one because I haven't played in over 2 years coming from COVID. Yeah, playing by yourself, playing with your brothers doesn't quite translate to playing with competition. But I think Forge, not as bad. I think I'm confident going into it. But obviously it's going to be competitive. It's the best team in the league. No surprise there. So going to be a high level, but I'm prepared.
So there's the nerves, and is there any excitement to go against these guys? Sure. I just can't imagine to play with alongside some of the best in this country. What's the excitement level, leaving the nerves aside and wanting to make the team, just being on the same pitch as those players?
I'm extremely excited to learn from high-level coaches, high-level players. You go from watching them on TV to playing against them, so it's a dream come true.
Well, congratulations to you. It's amazing what you've persevered through. You've got a supportive family. You got people behind you. And you've got a work ethic that is truly admirable.
Thank you.
Paul, good luck in that tryout coming up. We wish you the most success, and thanks so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me.
That is Paul Ekwueme, Forge FC future star. We will find out. But as for today, that is your Sportsline podcast. And as you just seen and heard, we love talking sports. If you know of an athlete, team, or event to promote, the Sportsline podcast wants to hear from you. Please hit the thumbs up, like, and subscribe button. And if you have something to say, please comment. For the wonderful people that make the Sportsline podcast possible, thank you. And we will see you next time.